everyone, I'm Mine, and this is set number 75355, the UCS X-Wing Starfighter from the LEGO Star Wars theme. This set contains 1,949 pieces, 2 minifigures, and more retail for $239.99 in the US. This set is not officially released until May the 4th, 2023, but it was sent to me early by the LEGO Group through the LEGO Ambassador Network, but all opinions expressed in this video are my own. So here's the UCS X-Wing, and right off the bat, I want to say I'm not typically a UCS guy. I typically just prefer minifigure scale stuff, and while there are some minifigure scale UCS sets like the UCS Razor Crest, other ones like the X-Wing here are designed to actually be too large for minifigures, so that way you can have more detail in the actual model. Which I do get the appeal of that, however it's not typically what I collect in LEGO. But of course you can see here, LEGO sent me this set early for review, and they also sent me the UCS Landspeeder last year, and I don't know about it. Let's just take a look at everything that's in it, and then I'll give you my thoughts on it. Starting at the nose of the ship, I think this part was actually pretty well done. Really nice shaping to it all, and I think the color scheme's alright. The vehicle in-universe has like yellow streaks right here, and the design team decided to use tan instead. I do think like a bright yellow would have looked a bit better, might have been a bit more accurate. However, I guess this keeps the color scheme a little more muted, because I suppose the tan fits in a little better. However, I do think bright yellow would have been more accurate, and I think that's what they do actually in the smaller version of this set. They do capture all the unique blemishes in Luke Skywalker's X-Wing though, such as how it has this dark gray on one side but not on the other. The shaping of the nose at the very front looks fantastic. I love like all the different rounded pieces they used. Again, it's a great translation from in-universe. The previous UCS X-Wing, as well as some other X-Wings in the past, have used light gray for the nose right here. And if you take a look at pictures in-universe, it's a little bit ambiguous what color it is, if it's white or if it's gray. I think gray might have looked a little bit better, but it's not a huge deal and I think both look fine. However, you may have seen in the intro to this video, the underside of this front section is entirely just anti-studs. Which, like, yeah, this is a LEGO set, that's gonna happen. But with the way it's angled on display, this is the kind of set where you have to display it somewhere where you're looking from the top down. Because yeah, if you're looking from the bottom up, that's just not the best angle to look at it. But if you look at it from above instead, yeah, that's definitely a bit better. But now moving back to the main cockpit of the ship, here you have this giant windshield piece that opens up. Unfortunately, just like most modern windshield pieces, mine came out of the box just all beat up. You can see there's like a large streak right there. Nothing I can do about that, and I feel like that's really common nowadays. It's a real shame, and most of the time you can't notice it. But yeah, I wish that was done better. But anyway, yeah, as you saw, you can hinge that open. This is a printed part, by the way, not a sticker, which is nice to see. And then inside, this is the little seat where Luke is supposed to sit. You can see there's a stickered piece right here to represent just all these electronics at the front of the vehicle. And then there's a little seat for a character to sit. This is like the scope for the targeting computer that we see in the movie. The idea is it like flips down in front of Luke's face, or you can flip it up and away. And there's also another stickered control panel there on the inside. However, what absolutely shocked me about this vehicle is that a minifigure doesn't actually fit inside here. Now, as I said, this is a UCS set. It is not a minifigure scale set, so it's not made to fit minifigures because it's too big for a minifigure. However, somehow the cockpit is still too small for a minifigure. If I take the Luke that comes in the set and try to put him in the chair, I was assuming I'd still be able to close it. Like, yeah, he would look too tiny for this, but at the very least he'd fit in. But no, if you watch it, I try to close it up around him, it actually has to push him out of the seat for it to be able to close. So you can have him sort of laying to the side like this, or you can sit him more properly in front of the actual chair. Or actually, no, that doesn't close all the way either. But yeah, you can't just plop him in there. But yeah, I know like being minifigure scale is not the point of this set, but it would have been nice if it was at the very least an option. I guess it probably wouldn't be too difficult to modify if you wanted to fit a minifigure in there, but it's a bit surprising it doesn't do that by default, especially when we consider the next part of the vehicle, because if we move back just beyond that, we have the area of the X-Wing that R2 slots into the vehicle, and this is just a standard LEGO minifigure R2-D2, which if you've heard what I've been talking about when it comes to the scale of the vehicle, that doesn't make any sense, because this is bigger than minifigure scale, but this is a minifigure scale R2-D2. So as such, he just looks way too tiny in the vehicle. This I genuinely just don't like. Like, I'm all for them trying to use the minifigures, so if Luke also fit in the cockpit, I'd be like, okay, it's oversized, but they try to make the minifigures fit in still. But if Luke can't fit in the cockpit, why do we need R2 to fit in here? Why not just give us an all-new, larger printed R2-D2 head that's more in scale with this vehicle? Because yeah, that would make more sense for what this is trying to do. Otherwise, R2-D2 looks absolutely tiny, which he's not that small in universe. So yeah, that's kind of silly, and of course that's one of the most iconic parts of the ship where R2-D2 slots in. So as such, I feel like that really hurts the overall look of everything. Moving behind R2 though, we have like all of these open mechanical bits. This part I do think looks good. I like the use of this printed fan piece down here. That's been being used for years at this point, but I'm glad to see it's still coming in sets. And this circular Technic piece at the back can actually spin, and there's a bit of a transformation feature with that. That's what you use to actually open up the wings of the X-Wing. You can see if I turn it to the right, they'll open up. However, if I turn it too far, they'll plop back into place. There we go. You can also control these with your hands if you want to, but this helps you lock them in a certain position. Like you can see when I've got it turned open like this, I can't really close them with my hand without that turning back. Now moving to the wings themselves, I don't really love the way that these connect onto the main ship. You can see they use these Technic bricks, which I actually think are much uglier than normal Technic pieces, because you have both open Technic holes on the top, and then open studs on the sides, which I get is like a fine connection system, but it doesn't look that great. And for how much the set costs, I don't know, I just wish that looked a little bit better, because there's just a huge gap between the wings and the body of the ship. And I know that's somewhat necessary to allow for the transformation feature, but yeah, like that is really obvious right there. I don't love how that looks. But then on the actual wing, it seems like they wanted to use as few stickers as possible, which on the one hand I do kind of like, because if they could do a detail without stickers, I think that's better. However, on the other hand, it's kind of just annoying. Like these red stripes right here are typically stickers both in the smaller sets and in the previous UCS X-Wing. However, they're brick built here, but like some of them are just attached on with a single stud. So if you're moving the set around at all, it's not that hard to dislodge them out of place, and that just makes things a little bit more annoying. But yeah, the four wings are mostly the same. There's a few discrepancies between them. For example, on this wing, the laser cannon at the very back is a few gray pieces, while on the opposite wing it's entirely white. However, towards the front of the cannon, this wing has a little bit of blue, while on the other side that's entirely white, though it has the blue one beneath it. So yeah, very little things, but they are accurate to the vehicle in universe. The fronts of the laser cannons use flipper pieces in white, which I think is very creative parts usage. Again, another thing that like if positioned perfectly could very easily fall out of place or just fall off the thing entirely. However, I will say these do look really good. And yeah, that's the same on both sides. The thrusters are built using like these tiles slotted between studs, which is something you've been able to do with LEGO for like literally forever. However, LEGO's only really started doing it in sets as of the last year. It does work well here, captures what it wants to well. The backs of the thrusters look really great too. These like trans pink discs in the center especially. And then while we're here, here's a full look at the back of the vehicle. Love how they did the very center back right here. That like hexagonal shape looks fantastic. And here we see my favorite parts usage in the entire set. That is the LEGO video game controller piece in dark gray. I'm like 99% sure that's an all new recolor for this set, but it's a super creative part to use, and yeah, I mean it fits in well here. It really does a great job adding to like the greebling in this part of the build. And that's most of what there is to show you for this build. However, let me actually open the wings up so you can see the insides of them. And yeah, these aren't that pretty either. Like I know it is the inside of the wing, it's gonna have anti-studs, I don't really think there's any way around that. But yeah, the colors just don't really mesh for me. And again, back to how the wing connects onto the body. This is so ugly, they did so much better in the past. Like these brown pieces are super out of place, and just all the open studs and Technic holes. It looks gross and it's not that well hidden away. I really wish they'd done a better job of covering that up, because yeah, in my opinion, that does not look good. You do have a stickered piece here to, I guess, actually add some detail to the bottom of the wing. So that way, I guess you actually have some detail on the inside of the wing. And on the other side, the opposite bottom wing also has a stickered piece, though you can see it is a different one. However, the top wings, while looking identical on the other sides, do not have any stickered parts. And yeah, I think that's most of what I got to show you for the main build of this set. Of course, that's not everything in this set. However, before I move on to that other stuff, I just want to take a moment to say this set is also definitely for display and not for play. I know most of you probably already know that because it is a UCS set. That's what they've designed to be, big display pieces. But yeah, in case there was any doubt, this set is not designed for you to play with. When I first built it up, I put it on my shelf, it was fine, it didn't like fall apart or anything. But of course, when I'm filming a review, I've got to be like moving it around and stuff, showing you guys all the different angles. And yeah, the set did not like that. There's lots of little things that are easy to knock off, such as like the paneling on the sides, or like the flipper pieces and whatnot. But the biggest thing is actually the stand. The stand holds the vehicle up just fine when it's on a shelf, but if you're trying to like showcase the set, the stand kind of crumbles. Which is honestly shocking to see. I wish there was a bit more support in the stand and you could probably modify it a bit. But yeah, I've probably had to reconstruct the stand maybe like 5 times over the course of what you've seen in the review so far. Because the X-Wing itself is just so heavy. So if you're moving the wings around or trying to showcase different parts of the build, the stand just really does not like that. But yeah, of course the X-Wing can be removed from the stand. You just lift it off like this. And while it looks cool, unfortunately there's no like landing gear or anything on it. So there's no way to display it without the stand. Like you can just plop it down like this, I suppose. But yeah, it definitely looks better when you have it displayed like it's flying through the air. And then here's a look at the stand with it removed. You can see this entire part goes into the X-Wing. That's what it holds on to. These 2 rounded pieces below it are the most fragile part of the build. Simply just opening up the S-foils will just pop them off. Very annoying in my opinion, just leave them off or customize them to be a bit more sturdy. But then below that we have the UCS information panel. These of course come in all UCS sets as well as a few other sets. And sometimes they're printed, sometimes they're stickers. But luckily this is a print in this set, and it's a really nice one actually. Got a picture of the X-Wing on it and then all the information about the vehicle. And then of course you can see in front of there is a little stand to put Luke, who is the one exclusive minifigure that comes in this set, and we will take a look at him in a short moment. But yeah, other than that, that's all there is to the stand. Again, it works fine if you plan on like never touching the set, but if you plan on like moving it around frequently or changing up the way it's displayed, I recommend you maybe modify the stand to be a little bit sturdier, because yeah, it's a bit disappointing on its own. But yeah, I think that's it for the stand, so now let's take a look at the 2 minifigures in the set, and then I'll get into my overall thoughts. Of course, here are the 2 minifigures in the set. We have Luke Skywalker and R2-D2. Luke is, as of right now, exclusive to this set, but of course R2 is not. Luke, though, is in his pilot's outfit, which we've gotten before. However, this version is much more detailed than previous versions. For one, it has arm printing, which is a really nice touch. I especially like this little panel in this arm. The silver just looks really nice, and I love how many different colors they used. But you can see the other arm, he has a few pockets. And then he also has dual molded legs as well, to actually shows black boots, which is another thing that previous figures have not had. Other than that, though, he's very similar to ones we've previously gotten. But yeah, he looks fantastic. They captured this outfit really well, and of course he's got his iconic helmet at the very top. They are still using the classic helmet piece. I know for a moment there was like one with a 3D molded visor. They did not bring that one back for this set. It's still the printed visor here. But yeah, you can see Luke's face there, and then turning him around, the visor's up and he's got a bit of a smile to his face. I think this figure looks really good. Makes sense to be included in this set. I really don't have any criticisms of it. It's just solid all around. And then R2-D2 is very similar to like every other one we've ever gotten. However, this is the newest version, the one that came in the trash compactor diorama. So by that, I mean he does have back printing, which is nice to see. Glad to see that's coming in more than one set. But yeah, other than that, he's the same as every other R2. Looks good. I like the metallic printing. Silver dome is always very nice to see. But yeah, what's there to say about this guy that hasn't already been said? Happy he's included, but there's nothing new about him. And yeah, there you go. There is the UCS X-Wing. So would I recommend this set? I honestly don't think so. Again, to clarify, I'm not typically a UCS guy. I don't have a ton of UCS sets, but the ones I do have are definitely not my favorites. However, even with that considered, looking back at like the older version of the UCS X-Wing, it kind of seems to me like that one's a bit better. There are things I like on this one, but at the end of the day, it's got some really ugly bits. And for something like a UCS set, I don't really like to see that. I can excuse that in a playset if it's for a play feature or something, but something like this where it's just huge and heavy, yeah, I don't know, I would've liked things to look a little bit better. The biggest things to me are just R2 being completely out of scale. That kind of takes away from the whole UCS aspect. The way the wings attach to the body of the vehicle is super ugly, and honestly those are the major things. There's a few other little things, but they aren't nearly as big of a deal. There's definitely going to be people out there who really like this set, and I mean, I do like it, but when comparing it to like the $50 X-Wing that's also on shelves, I kind of prefer that one, because it fits with my minifigures, it is scaled correctly, and honestly, I just think it looks nicer. Because that has things like landing gear, this does not. So honestly, if you're a UCS collector, you're probably buying it anyway. But yeah, it's probably similar to other UCS sets. But if you're looking to buy your first UCS set, you've never gotten one before, I honestly don't know if this is the one to start with, because I'm just not crazy about it. But of course, those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think of this set in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!